channel US Defense. Before watching the video, please like, comment, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. See you on the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share this video. See you only at US Defense. The US Navy will deploy It will deploy many. Here's what you need to know. Weaponeers are working at helter-skelter speed to remedy the US Navy's range shortfall. Yes, the carrier killer. China is forever touting the array of guided missiles its weaponeers have devised to pummel US Navy nuclear-powered aircraft carriers CVN. Most prominent among them are its DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles ASBM, which the People's Liberation Army PLA has made a mainstay of China's anti-access/area denial A2/AD defenses. Beijing has made believers of important audiences, including the scribes who toil away at the Pentagon producing estimates of Chinese martial might. Indeed, the most recent annual report on Chinese military power states matter-of-factly that the PLA can now use DF-21D to attack ships, including aircraft carriers, more than 900 statute miles from China's shorelines. Scary. But the US Navy has carrier killers of its own. Or, more accurately, killers of its own. What can disable or sink a fleet can make short work of lesser warships. High-ship weaponry is multiplying in numbers, range, and lethality as the Navy reawakens from its post-Cold War holiday from history. Whose carrier killer trumps whose will hinge in large part on where a sea fight takes place. That carrier a prime way to do that is to distinguish between platforms and capabilities, undertaking the basic linguistic hygiene beloved of thinkers from Confucius to George Orwell. Naming things with precision cleanses the language used in debates over fleet design, and in turn makes for dispassionate analysis. I seldom have much use for joint publications, but in this case the definition of capability put forth in the Defense Department Dictionary of Military and Associated Terms illuminates. A capability, says the dictionary, is not a whiz-bang. It is the ability to complete a task or execute a course of action under specified conditions and level of performance. It's the ability to do a job, not the tool used to do it. Viewed in that light, choosing which particular tool to add to the toolkit becomes a secondary matter. In fact, the wise handyman selects the cheapest, simplest, least sexy implement adequate to his task. Doing so saves money while getting the job done. The artisanal approach, or as the amphibian pundit C.D.R. Salamander puts it, mariners' ingrained preference for Tiffany ships, planes, and armaments wastes resources while self-imposing heavy opportunity costs. Keeping excess capacity on a platform costs money, manpower, and other resources that might go to likewise vital purposes, or to buying more widgets and thus adding mass to the fleet. Quantity, after all, boasts a quality all its own. Describing implements as capabilities, then, obscures the distinction between hardware and the purposes hardware exists to serve. For instance, it's fair to say that the ability to render humanitarian and disaster assistance comes second to capabilities aimed at defeating foes. It's an important capability, but in a zero-sum competition for resources, it must yield to capabilities that help the US Navy and Marine Corps win maritime command and project power onto land afterward. These are the sea service's topmost functions, and must take precedence over desirable, but less pressing priorities. Platforms specially designed for HA/D are must rank behind capital ships, or ships that police the sea in the pecking order. The combat logistics fleet, oilers, ammunition ships, refrigerated stores ships, and the like thus plays a prominent part in strategy despite its frumpy image. CLF vessels help the fleet transmute potential into usable combat power. They enable the glamour platforms to stay on station on the strategic frontier and execute their missions for those X weeks or months. Workmanlike vessels, then, cannot be an afterthought in fleet design, nor is the capacity to perform forward repairs and maintenance, not to mention overhauls in depots back home, any less critical. The Navy once maintained a fleet of destroyer and submarine tenders for just that purpose, yet it has decommissioned and scrapped some of its destroyer tenders. Other hulks lie moldering at anchor in the Ghost Fleet awaiting the same fate, and the sub-tender fleet has withered to 2 40-year-old hulls. The naval leadership and its political overseers must undertake some soul-searching about the fleet's ability to sustain operations in remote waters, otherwise great power competitors may realize they merely need to stall an American maritime offensive for a short time to achieve their goals. So in a real sense, deterrence rests on dry docks, workshops, and lumbering supply vessels. If deterrence is a product of capability, the resolve to use it, and staying power at decisive places on the nautical chart, it's apt to fail if rival powers come to doubt the U.S. Navy and Marines can stage serious combat power at scenes of action for long enough to prevail. At which time adversary forces inherit the battleground by default, disabusing prospective foes of the conceit that U.S. forces lack resiliency and staying power is crucial. As far as capabilities that help accomplish strategic goals in their own right, think about a capability we might call the ability to close narrow seas and skies to hostile vessels and aircraft. Such a capability would prove central should the United States and its allies embrace an archipelagic defense strategy in the Far East. Archipelagic defense would bar access to the Western Pacific and Indian Ocean to Chinese units at a time when Beijing increasingly relies on such access. Doing so would discourage Chinese mischief-making in the region, while penning the People's Liberation Army within the near sea should armed conflict erupt. Sure, high-end combatant ships and warbirds could take the brunt of sentry duty along the first island chain, but such static functions waste Tiffany platforms' battle capacity. Combat aircraft, missile-armed ground troops, minefields, swarms of small missile craft roaming up and down the island chain, and, yes, diesel submarines constitute the right instruments, however short on star power to execute such a strategy. They're cheap, serviceable, and suited to perimeter defense. The battle fleet should furnish a backstop for island chain defenders, but concentrate mainly on mobile offensive operations up and down the Asian seaboard. That not picket duty is the fleet's comparative advantage. Distilling capabilities from strategy and putting capability, properly understood, in charge of fleet design and operations would open new vistas before American and Allied commanders. Strategic Grandmaster Karl von Clausewitz counsels generals to estimate whether their opponents are Bologna flasks prone to shatter at the first rap. It's worth asking the same question about ourselves before getting in a tussle with China or some other peer competitor. Have the sea services made themselves into a Bologna flask through their romance with top-end platforms and armaments, and through their consequent neglect of unobtrusive platforms and capabilities essential to strategic success? If so, they have rendered Allied defenses fragile in Nassim Taleb's sense, shoring up logistical shortfalls, widening the leadership's strategic gaze to encompass highly mundane capabilities and hardware, and otherwise engaging in self-scrutiny will help the sea services make themselves resilient. Taleb prefers systems that are anti-fragile, that not only withstand, but actually benefit from taking a hammer blow. Such systems take a licking, keep on ticking, and come back stronger than before. We should strive toward an anti-fragile force, but resiliency represents a good first step. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. See you on the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share this video. See you only at US Defense.